Meow.
Alright, welcome back to another Beginning the End Times Call Warhammer battle. Now, you may be, saying, hey, clickbait, what is this shit? But it's all in the title. Screw you, this isn't Total War Warhammer 3, but I am definitely riding the hype off of it. So this is a Medieval 2 Total War Kingdoms mod. So if you have the DLC and the base game, you can install this mod, and it'll turn it into Warhammer. And the cool thing about this mod, it basically has everything you want. It'll have all the factions from all three titles in the Total War Warhammer trilogy. So it has Khorne, Slaanesh, Nurgle, Ogres, Chaos Dwarves, even Dogs of War, which is pretty wild. They have some cool units in that puppy right there. But basically, the mod I've been playing for quite a number of years. Played it with Indie Pride from Milk and Cookies Total War. Play it with a lot of my close friends on the interwebs. And yeah, we're doing it. And it'll be glorious. And it'll be a nostalgia trip for me. And hopefully a fun little derpy adventure for you guys. If you guys enjoy the mod, then you know how much fun it is. And if you don't know the mod, then let me introduce you to the world of BOTET, or Call of Warhammer. So let's just hop into the army compositions right now. Alright, let's take a look at the armies. For my Khorne Horde, we got four, I think like 6 Marauders, 2 kind of in tighter formation on the edges protecting the Chaos Warriors, and 4 in a kind of loose formation in front of my Bloodletters of Khorne, the kind of minor demon infantry, and the Chosen of Khorne, who look very badass with their dual weapons and their very cool armaments and blood red kind of mutation skin, like they're turning into Bloodletters. It's pretty glorious looking. Not sure how lore accurate, but pretty amazing. And then on our flanky, and we have a little Chaos Hound in the back, just so you don't forget that good boy. On our flank, we got the Skull Crushers of Khorne. 2 of them in the bodyguard variant. They only come in bodyguard variants for some reason, but they are very cool looking. Got little double swords, which you'd think there'd be axes, but no, they have some rusty swords. They'll stab you, give you tetanus or whatever. Pretty badass with their juggernaut beasties. The Bloodletter with his horse face and kind of his purple tongue and all this other glorious stuff. Pretty good at chunking down much of anything, but more efficiently used for elite cav or single entities, because they do a lot of damage, AoE stuff. So very good at hunting other big stuff, as they should be. You're probably thinking Total Warhammer, they'd be good at that too. And Centaurs will be backing up the very back line, but in front of those, one of the premier units, the Fleshhounds of Khorne. Yes, I mean, Bloodthirsters, I guess, is premier. Yeah, you guys are cool. But my favorite units are the Khornehounds, because one, they look just ridiculous, and 2, they're very actually useful for cavalry engagements. They have a little AoE attack themselves, and they're much squishier than Bloodthirster, but they can be put some pretty good use when they're all blobbed up against a cav unit or 2. And that is my army. My glorious rush build of the ages, as that's literally all Khorne knows how to do. Moving on, we have 4 Kislev Halberdiers making up the front line of Clare's force. They are reinforced with armor upgrades, you can tell, because they have shiny hats and armor, and you can't really tell, but they're different from these Kislev Halberdiers at the end here. Look. So the Kreml Bodyguard will be backing them up, and they're basically the Zara Guard, the heavy hitting infantry. They would have armor piercing, but armor piercing is kind of a big deal in Med 2, so I don't believe they do, but they're just very good anti-infantry tools. Kislev Spearmen, 6 of them, kind of rounding out this triangle formation on this hillside, and they're just kind of even more cheap peasantry than the Halberdiers are. They have a derpy wagon unit, which doesn't do anything. It's just ridiculous. It's supposed to shoot guns, these kind of like organ guns. They don't do any damage, and they're basically barricades, the glorified barricades. We have an Urgon Mortar, which will be bombarding us on our way here. Ice Witches, who will be throwing snowballs. Katarine doesn't have nothing on these motherfuckers. They throw magic snowballs. It's kind of ridiculous. They throw these little tiny little snowball projectiles, and then it explodes in a big poof. You'll see it later in the battle. It's pretty great. The Korsars are just Ungol archers, and they're okay in combat as well, so they're cool. But the main component of Trevor's army, Sons of Ursun, 3 of them. So the Bear Riders of Kislev, the bears, the myths, and the legends. They're all here. including the mounted Zargard, which is a very cool unit. They're polar bears instead of the kind of grizzly and black bears over here, I guess. And his general appears to be in a Son of Ursun. I think my general is in the unit of Chosen in the back there, kind of safe and tucked away. And we're gonna hop right into the battle here. Now, I'm gonna be approaching, obviously, and I'm doing some weird column forming things for some reason. I think I kind of derped out my units there. But we are going to be on the approach as he has the range advantage. Being Kislev, he probably always should. Going to move my little doggos and the juggernauts and the bloodthirster and all the beastie boys up and around, and we're just going to try to approach the enemy with caution, as lead our marauders there first, and the marauders should definitely be kind of ahead of my bloodletters here, so they can soak up a lot of the damage. Like you're seeing them take the vicious snowballs from the ice witches there, bringing those marauders down to size. And the flesh hounds and skull crushers and beastie boys are coming up into the unknown, because you cannot even see to the top of the hill in some angles. And there's the regiment of bear cav just kind of sitting there waiting as their foes approach. The bloodletters and marauders and some of the chosen are actually getting hammered pretty hard with those snowballs of death, and they are not liking it, intermingled with those mortar shots, not doing well. A lot of snowballs missed right there. It does look like they're kind of long range, so those ice witches might want to back up so they can continue to have that arc of fire. If they're so close to the lines, they may not get it. And we're going to see a front charge from the bloodletters. They're a little bit faster than the rest of the army, so they kind of outpace them, and they have good charge bonuses. So you know what? Throw the demons in there. They're immortal. You know, they get zapped out of existence. They'll come back one day, you know. Fuck them. But the rest of the army collides, and we are starting off the engagement nice and proper with a proper scrap. That bloodthirster is derping around that cav, though. Oh, God. But he's settling down. He'll get a couple of good meaty swings. We're hunting bear today, boys, because that AoE will not be kind to even the sturdiest sons of Ursun. And with Khorne hounds flanking in there, you really got to do something. Maybe pull up those spearmen to try to save that situation. But in turn, my skull crushers are coming in to support as well, because I think I kind of threw away some of my centaurs. But Kislev spearmen will hold out for a while against marauders and such, as they're kind of forming a loose line to prevent combat from going too quickly, because they know they will eventually lose. But it's a very good stalling tactic by Trevor to keep my army at bay. Me also having slower infantry is trying to flank around will take a lot of time. The archers are shooting in, but they're not going to do a whole lot, except for maybe against the centaurs with the low armor. Other than that, the multi-HP of both the bloodthirsters, skull crushers, and the bloodhounds are just going to be too resistant to that archer fire. Maybe if there's gunpowder with that armor piercing and heavy DPS, but Cossars may not do the trick. We are seeing a grindy front fight. The Chaos Hounds are finally coming from the flank. You can kind of see them over there. They will be coming in to shut down some of the Cossars and other things. Now, I lead my opponent kind of into a trap as he chases the centaurs, only get flanked by a whole bunch of angry hounds, a horse-faced bloodthirster, and just juggernauts from hell. So he should really kind of try to pull out of that situation if he can, because I don't think that's a winning one. And he can maybe move his ice witches as well. You can see the hounds digging into the archers. Now, the hounds are kind of weaker, so they will be taking some damage even in that simple engagement, but maybe they'll do some rear charges, some other stuff. Maybe try to get those ice witches, who have been very good at the beginning of the battle and not too productive near the end. Now, the bloodthirster kind of milling about, surveying his domain as the rest of the... And I guess I did have some other centaurs who had survived and just kind of sitting there watching the battle, like they didn't have any duty or anything to to serve their country. But yeah, the spearmen are coming in to aid the situation, but it's a little too late. As you can see, the Sons of Ursun are probably they just got spit roasted, man. They just got destroyed by all these hounds and chaos warriors on juggernauts and stuff. They needed to exit that situation swiftly and try to find a better engagement, maybe break some of my infantry. But at that point, it had kind of been already too late. And it's looking like some of the spearmen are breaking, in fact. So this is a case of probably a little bit of mismicro and army composition in terms of... I don't even know what the fuck those little wagons did. No clue. I don't think they did anything. So the ice witches stopped paying for themselves a little bit. The wagons didn't do much. And that very elite thing of cav that he brought just kind of up and died. And now I took a lot of damage on the way there. You know, my cav itself is pretty destroyed. But my infantry is very healthy, and my infantry was probably going to win from the start unless he went infantry heavy as well. Kislev actually does have the capability to somewhat go infantry heavy if they want to. It's not their forte. Their forte is cav and ranged, but they can put up a pretty sturdy melee fight if they want to. But it is not looking like it is their day in the sun or the snow or whatever, what have you, as that Bloodthirster is coming charging in, and just on all sides this Kislevite army is crumbling, and I think it's a GG. The rest of their meager forces will not be able to compare to the glory of Khorne. Yes. But yeah, it is a mass rout, and we're going to skip ahead towards the end of the battle, as it's just me chasing down his units for a while, because for whatever reason he didn't concede, or I don't know what the deal is, but this replay just goes excessively long. So let's just skip on over to the end. And as you can see, it cleared up by the end of the replay. It was really funny, like when right when like his army was exiting the battlefield, it just started to be like, oh, it's nice and sunny out now. All right, let's take a look at the kills here, boys. Now, we can't look at our opponent's kills because lame Medieval 2 stuff. I might have people send me like screenshots of their kills from here on out just to get that full picture. But we're going to quickly go over our own kills, and we unfortunately can't really see the value. We can only infer from the results. So we look at the Skull Crushers. We can look that they did pretty well. I'd say they did pretty well because they were fighting Sons of Her Son most of the time, not even really grinding down any infantry, which they're actually pretty good at. Skull Crushers, or not Skull Crushers, Bloodthirster did pretty well. He, again, was fighting Sons of Her Son. I wouldn't say he paid for himself. He's very expensive, but he took down the most important unit on the field, or one of them. The Ice Witches were pretty important, but they ran out of ammo real quick or something. I don't know. You might have to go in there and fudge with the stats, because that seems a little ridiculous. Chaos Hounds did very well. They got into the flank and they started eating up the Kossars and doing rear charges. Helped me break that Kislev infantry corps a little faster. The Flesh Hounds were amazing versus the Sons of Her Son. Good support unit. Same with the Centaurs. You can see they barely got any kills, but that's still pretty good for going up against a whole lot of angry-ass grizzlies. Marauders did pretty well for themselves, considering they're like pretty much chaff. You know, the Kislev Halberdiers are chaff, but they're like a little more sturdy chaff, I would say, than the Marauders in this mod. Chaos Warriors did pretty well for themselves. Not as great, but they weren't really fighting that much, and they took very little losses to the Kislev forces. Bloodletters did pretty well for themselves. They took some casualties, but they inflicted some as well. Good hefty there. And the Chosen were just there for moral support to keep my forces from breaking, but they ended up getting a good amount of kills themselves. So I think that was a fun game. I think it was kind of partly a mod problem that led to Trevor's demise, as the witches ran out of ammo, or if they didn't run out of ammo, it was a positioning position, which he didn't move them back far enough to get some arcing shots on the infantry. And the wagons were useless. Don't take wagons if you play this mod, please. The wagons are dog shit. They never earn anything. They're just there to like make a box if you want to make a box and prevent like cav from getting in, I guess. I don't know. And his Sons of Her Son were kind of mismicroed. They were beating up one of my Skull Crushers actually got thoroughly crumped along with some Centaurs, but I got the better trades, and I kind of grouped them all together and then circle beat them at the end. And just staying in combat with the Bloodthirster is never a good idea. You need to shoot him down with something, or have AP. I actually do believe the Bears do have AP. And if the Bloodthirster had stayed in there long enough, he might have gotten whittled down, but you need some missiles to shoot at him. And if you kind of string him along and don't let him get stuck in and just shoot him, even with the Kossars, eventually will whittle him down. So yeah, I think it was just kind of like an army build thing. But regardless, GG to my man Trevor. Hope you guys enjoyed the show, and we'll be posting more frequently. So if you want to dive into the realm of janky Warhammer Medieval 2 gameplay, and I'll eventually be transitioning to Total War, the more recent titles, but I want to ride this hype train for as long as I can. It's a very beloved mod of mine, and a lot of fond memories of my childhood playing this game, and hope you guys enjoy it too. Alrighty, catch you in the next one. See you. I also neglected to mention that CW3 Clare has a channel called No Fun Allowed. It is a D&D channel if you like role-playing stuff and the D&D universe of the Forgotten Realms and all that bullshit. Hop over to his channel. I'll leave a link in the description below, and he's your premier DM, so do it.